Sorry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Concerning Cremlings, a podcast where we dive deep into Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere and beyond. Today, we will continue beyond the Cosmere with our discussion, with Anna Karenina, parts 3 through 5.
Uh,
I'm Elliot.
I'm Esther.
I'm Simon. In this week's episode, we will be taking a break from Brandon Sanderson as we continue our discussion for Anna Karenina. This week we're talking about parts 3 through 5. So if you haven't read up to three through five, I wouldn't recommend watching this video or listening to it unless you don't care about spoilers, in which case get out of here. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay. So
Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just
You
okay.
good? Yeah.
What? Yep.
You like froze for a sec.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
You talk.
Yeah, I just want to say we're going to be using the questions from Oprah's book club again. So shout out to Oprah's book club. We will be using the questions for parts 3 through 5, as that's what we read. Yeah, so let's just get into the discussion. Is there any like initial like quotes or parts that anyone wants to discuss before we do the book club questions?
So I mentioned to you guys I watched a very helpful lecture on this, and it did have spoilers, so I recommend watching it after the video you've read the whole book. But she gave some really good just context in not only Tolstoy but like Russian history as a whole. So I thought it'd be helpful if I shared some of that,
Yeah,
um,
cool. Yeah.
just quickly, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead. You're all good.
I think real quick.
Okay, what?
What?
I think Jonas had a thought real quick. Was that right, Jonas? Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for sure, sure.
Well, no, Jonas, what the heck, bro?
Jonas, you can't say that live. Well, we're not live, but you can't
Cut that out. We're gonna
Dude.
cut that out.
cut that out.
Um,
No.
future Elliot's gonna need to edit that one for sure.
Oh, dang, Jonas. Sorry about that, guys. Um,
Sorry.
don't mind him. So what, as I was saying, just some helpful points about the book that will be very helpful. Again, we'll link the lecture I'm referencing down below. So, for the first point that she made, I forgot her name, unfortunately.
Erna?
But she's no professor. But the first point is that Anna Karenina is a book of literary realism. What is literary realism? You may be asking. Well, there are three major components of realism. The first one is that it has a direct imprint of lived reality, which means that it's unlike a lot of books, like romantic books, as in like not like love story romantic, but like romanticism.
Mm.
Uh, there's a lot of characters and there's a lot of emphasis on like heroes and almost like larger than life characters. That's
Yeah.
not what this book is. This book is like really down to earth characters that feel like they walked right off the streets and onto the page. Uh, the second point of literary realism is that it downplays the literary quality of an actually very literary work because it heightens the realism of the characters. And by that I mean the way Tolstoy writes, like his prose, it feels very digestible. And I think that's something we've noticed is that Tolstoy has a reputation of being very pretentious, and like pretentious people read Tolstoy, but like in reality, it's actually very like down to earth and like easy to read, and he writes in such a way that's accessible, but at the same time, it's actually very deep and philosophical. And the third point is that the narrator will never tell you what to think. And he does this by getting into the characters' heads, and instead of telling you Oblonsky's actions are bad, or Anna's actions are bad, or Levin's actions are right, he will give you the psychological uh, like uh, thought process
Oh,
in your own mind.
did you just cut out? So
Yeah.
say
Oh.
You see the psychological process too.
So sorry. He explains the psychological thought
you sound
process.
weird. You sound like a robot.
I think my headphones are almost dead. So
Maybe you
Oh
turn.
no.
Actually, that sounds kind of sick. Did you hear that?
You just talk like a robot the rest of the episode.
all right, as I was saying, instead of
Audio quality is horrible.
that's okay.
No, it's not. It's
No, it's
fine.
not that bad.
It literally sounds normal.
It's good because I don't like how my voice sounds anyway. Sorry, as I was saying, the narrator will never tell you what to think. Instead of telling you how to think, he'll tell you. He'll go through the psychological thought process that went in between and that went behind some of these questionable actions, and he asks you to question instead why or not to question. Sorry, not to like condemn them, which I mean you can do, but also to ask yourself what went wrong, and you're able to trace that back in the characters. Okay, so that's literary realism. Point two is that this is about kind of the genre of book it is, or like the tradition it follows in, which this is actually kind of funny to me. But
Yeah.
it's a great novel of adultery, according to her, um, which is apparently a kind of book. Which is,
Yeah, evidently it's a category.
and other great novels of adultery she cites are Madame Bovary, um, and I think she said The Scarlet Letter is also one.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Nathaniel Hawthorne.
Yeah. So this took on the tradition of the adultery novel in order to explore the political, social, and economic state of Russia. And he was able to do this because able being like exploring this figure of someone who's very morally in the wrong. We're able to like kind of see the different sides of the political and social like status of like what happens when someone is publicly committing adultery. And we see with Oblonsky, he gets off with like zero consequences. But when it's a woman or Anna, she like basically her life is completely ruined. And
Yeah.
so that's just very
And not to
interesting.
say that either is right, but just to show the like social implications of it. Yeah.
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 And
I
that brings my third. Sorry, what?
I just wanted to say I agree. So I feel like I'm saying something of worth, but I'm not saying anything of worth. I'm just saying I'm agreeing.
So good. I agree with that. That's exactly what I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
and just to reiterate what I was talking about with Q4.
I just wanted to say that I agree with Esther's agreement of my agreement.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I disagree with each of your agreements except for mine.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. That brings me to my.
Jonas, I think Jonas was saying something too,
Oh
though.
yeah,
Sorry,
Jonas,
what, Jonas?
you want to say?
Okay, that's fair. That's
Yeah,
fair.
Yeah.
honestly,
Good
that's
take.
base though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, no.
Jonas, what the heck?
What the
You
heck?
can't say that, bro.
Again.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. We'll cut that out. We'll cut that out.
Jonas, we got a
Hey,
fun out today.
okay. That brings
Mother
me
with
to
that
the third
mouth?
point.
What?
I said, do you kiss your mother with that mouth, Jonas?
That brings me to my third point, which is kind of the broad strokes of what was going in or of Russian history, and this one was super interesting. Russian history is very fascinating.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I agree. I agree.
so the Russian Empire was the largest empire in terms of landmass, and it was full of social problems.
Yeah.
One of these was that in the 1860s, a significant number of serfs were freed. Like serfdom was abolished in Russia, which is actually abolished before slaves were in America,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
Wow,
Mhm.
that's a
Well, it was about the same time, but
But then after that point, though, they still were living in a state of serfdom.
yeah,
They were technically freed.
uh-huh. And it's like similar to what happened in America because it once you have all these freed
Mhm.
serfs or all these freed slaves, well, what are they going to do? They don't have the same education. They don't have money. They don't have, a lot of them don't have the same like clothes. They don't have clothes. They don't have shelter. They don't have,
Yeah. Like the implications of it are difficult because each person has their own place in society. And so for that to be disrupted and changed is incredibly difficult. Like that has to happen over a period of like several years, if not longer than that. So yeah.
Jonas, is there anything else?
No, just Jonas, you're done talking.
He's been muted now.
Oh yeah.
I muted him.
Okay, so Russian literature was one of the only venues in which people could talk about these social problems in Russia because they were hugely censored in the press, in the newspapers, in I almost said media. There wasn't very much media, I guess.
But yeah, media at that time was like newspaper, so I guess same thing.
And so the only way people could really explore these ideas and have opinions that were against the grain were through novels. And that's why some of the biggest Russian radicals were novelists. And Tolstoy, for one, was one of the bigger radicals. I think he was an anarchist at one point. Another
anarchist, yeah.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he was able to explore like this Russian economy in a very like different way than people could talk about in real life.
Yeah, for sure.
It was very interesting. And so the final point I need to actually, this isn't the final point. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Sorry, am I going too long? Because I feel like I'm just lecturing because I'm literally just like I took notes on like her whole lecture.
No, I think this is good. I like listening. Yeah, you're fine.
Good. Sorry. I don't want to be too much.
I think Elliot's having the time of his life.
Okay, so in the 1870s, Tolstoy was questioning his place in the world and the meaning of his life. And this is interesting because this is after he wrote War and Peace, which War and Peace is so it's interesting because he said Anna Karenina was his first attempt at a real novel because he says War and Peace doesn't even count as a novel because it's just so big and so like broad.
That's funny.
I don't even know how he described it.
Anna Karenina is really big too.
It's like 800.
Well, War and Peace is like twice the size of Anna Karenina.
Yeah.
It's twice as long. Which actually,
finals, I'm gonna go to the bookstore and buy a bunch of books without any guilt.
Good, have fun.
That's how I feel every time until I get home and realize how many books I bought.
Well, the thing is, my school is all covered by scholarships, so it's like.
Okay. Well, yeah,
that's really nice.
Oh yeah, super nice.
All right, as I was saying, sorry.
You're fine.
What the heck?
Okay.
Sorry.
No, this is funny. I thought that was Elliot for a second.
Oh, why would I make such a disgusting noise?
That was Elliot. So as I was saying, in the 1870s, when Tolstoy was writing Anna Karenina, he had already completed War and Peace, which is probably his most famous novel.
Yes.
And he considered Anna Karenina to be his first real attempt at a novel, which, as we said, was very interesting. And so at this point, Tolstoy had lived a lot of life. He was like in his 40s or 50s. I think he had been married twice or something. Maybe I don't remember, but he was in this place in his life where he was just really questioning the meaning of the world and meaning of life. And he had experienced hardship, and he had always had an intense fascination with death. And we see that a lot in Anna Karenina in these parts, especially how Lievin is questioning death, and he struggles with almost the futility of it at times. And so writing Anna Karenina for him was almost spiritually liberating because he was exploring like what it meant to live and what it means to like find joy and happiness in the midst of terrible social or economic situations, because Russia was a tough place to live for a lot of people back then.
Yes, for sure.
All right. last point, I promised,
Oh,
and then
you're fine.
and this is pertains to the literary techniques used in Anna Karenina. And there are three big ones that Professor highlighted. Sorry, I forgot her name. Um, so the first one is that, so you know how most people, when they think of Anna Karenina, at least, and this is what I thought it was when we were first like talking about reading it, and I'm sure you guys thought this too, was that the love story of Anna Karenina. It's a tragedy like Romeo and Juliet, where Anna and her lover don't, like, you guys thought that too. Like, you thought it would just be like a romance book, kind of.
Or
Which
well,
it's,
Yeah. So when I was first getting, are you asking our opinion or like kind of just
or
from
like what was your
Okay.
impressions
well,
when
he
we?
doesn't
My
want to know what you actually think, though.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say it anyway. So
A woman?
when I was reading it, I thought that it was gonna be only about Anna and her lover,
Right.
essentially. I did not foresee that most of the chapters would actually be with Constantine,
Mm,
which I love because his chapters are my favorite. But yeah, I definitely went into it thinking it was gonna be like a tragedy very similar to Romeo and Juliet, like you were saying. Um, and yeah, and honestly, like we really after like part 3 or 4, we really don't even have that many Anna and Vronsky
yeah.
chapters. It's kind of, which I think is a cool point of like it almost it like takes us through like what like how the focus of even Anna and Vronsky's perspective is. So like at the very beginning they're like super infatuated with each other and we're getting a lot of chapters about them and things that are affecting them. And then as time goes on and their like relationship and love wanes for one another, we don't really get as much of an insight on what's going on with them either.
Interesting.
So I don't know, I feel like that's
Yeah,
cool.
it's almost like we only get one section per part with Anna and Vronsky, and
Yeah.
that's super important. And
Hey,
I love
I have something to say.
Esther. I'm very glad you brought up that there are two plot lines, because one of the big literary techniques that Tolstoy uses is that he has two main plot lines, Anna's and Lievin's,
Hmm.
that contrast each other throughout,
Yeah.
and they're meant to parallel each other. And there, a lot of readers, and I've looked at a lot of discussion threads and like watched videos where people will be like, "What the heck is the point of Lievin? I thought this is about Anna. Why are we
They
talking about
actually say
this guy for
that?
so long?" Yeah,
How dumb are
I've seen a
they?
lot of people think that
Sorry.
and be like, "This is yeah." And so, well, the point is, you're supposed to compare them and contrast them, and Tolstoy does this extremely precisely and specifically, uh,
Hmm.
where almost their story arcs and character arcs are reverses of each other. Where Anna starts in the beginning of the book, everyone loves Anna. She's a role model to the Oblonskys and to Kitty, and everyone loves her. And she almost starts up high and like well respected. And throughout the book, she slowly spirals to where her reputation is ruined. She lives in a life of sin and adultery, and like social reputation ruined. And then Lievin, on the other hand, starts as a lowly peasant, and he slowly builds his life up. He falls in love with Kitty, marries her. They start a family, and then
What?
his life is just like an upward trajectory. And it's so that's very important to what this book is about. Almost this contrasting of tragedy and triumph at the same time, where we're experiencing it at the same time.
Uh, I think it's interesting. Simon didn't really let me get to say what I wanted to say when we were talking about Anna. So it's gonna feel like we're backtracking, but that's because Simon wouldn't let me say what I wanted to say. So it's gonna feel like we're
No,
backtracking.
we're not backtracking. We are making space
I no, I was finishing my point
and
about this.
and
Ask
just
a question.
making space for
No,
Ellen.
I was.
So
It
it's
was.
interesting. Anna, at the beginning of her fair, I don't, I think it's kind of safe to say, I don't think there's a real point in so far in the affair that she's really truly happy,
Oh,
right?
I thought you said there's not a point to her. I was like, okay.
No,
I
there's
don't.
not a
I don't understand why she's in this book.
yeah. Why is she? No, I don't understand. Like, there's no point during her affair where she's happy, like completely. She's really happy. Or would you disagree?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with you.
But like her unhappiness changes. So at the beginning, when she's still with Karenin, or she's still living with, she's so far she's still technically married to Karenin.
Yeah.
But so like she's still with Karenin, she feels super guilty and unhappy about the affair. But when she leaves, she leaves when she leaves Karenin and like runs away with Vronsky, you'd think she'd be happy now, but she's like still unhappy, but in a different way. She's like, you can kind of see like at the end of part five. That's kind of that's all we get of Anna. No, we get a lot of Anna Vronsky in part five, right?
Yeah, yeah, because that's when they're in France.
Yeah,
No, in
yeah.
Italy.
In
I'm gonna
Italy.
lie. I was like, I kind of could care less. Like I kept being like, when's Levin's chapter?
Huh,
And then like I would be like, wait, it's Levin again.
that's fair.
Evan.
Although I really like the Italy part when they were with
Yeah.
Yeah,
the painter and and then like the what's his name, Goshinov or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought that was fun. I don't know.
I
Anyway,
did like it. Yeah.
but
um,
Yeah, I think that, maybe it shows that following after our passions and desires isn't going to fulfill us.
yeah,
Shocker.
that's crazy.
that's all we're living for. Then what's the point? You know?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I move on to the next
Yeah,
literary?
so what time do you guys have to leave?
I have to leave at 2:50.
So like 50 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to finish your thought and then we can start the questions would be good.
Okay, sorry. I only have. Okay,
Oh no,
there's
you're
only
fine.
one. There's two literary devices left, and then I'm done. Okay,
Okay.
I'll go quick. So Tolstoy utilizes different geographies to like he utilizes different geographies to almost explain the tone. I don't know if that's the right way to say it,
So
but
like the geographical locations of the farm and like
the
the
city,
Musics
yeah,
and the St. Petersburg and Moscow. Yeah.
yeah, they like mean different things. Like for
Yeah.
instance, Petersburg is the city of adultery where Anna lives, which is
Yeah.
that's where all the adultery happens, and like which is interesting that Tolstoy is kind of makes that a point because Petersburg was that the capital of Russia, or if not, it was like the heart.
Yeah, it's like between Moscow and St. Petersburg. I'd have to look it up. I feel like you're right.
I think that's what she
Didn't
said.
Moscow get renamed under Stalin?
It was the capital until 1918.
So yeah, it was the capital.
And now the Bolsheviks have moved the capital to Moscow.
Okay, good to know. And so
Darn
Petersburg,
Bolsheviks, sorry.
that's what Petersburg is. And then the countryside where Lievin goes is where families can be made. And this place is almost the good. In
Yeah.
Tolstoy's mind, this is where the good stuff happens, and the good stuff can be like made, and families can flourish and thrive. And then so we have Petersburg, which is like the
Yeah.
countryside is and then there's the outside, the abroad, and that's where Anna and Vronsky go to Italy on their vacation, almost their honeymoon.
Yeah.
Uh, except they, yeah, and that
Honeymoon, but not
where
married and with a child.
um and going outside, according to this professor, she says that only guarantees bad for them.
Mm,
I don't know what.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, sorry, last point. I promise. This is it.
Oh, you're good.
So Tolstoy, he doesn't describe or he doesn't bother to describe everything about a character, um, but rather he's able to craft clever three-dimensional characters in efficient ways by giving them one distinctive characteristic for us to trace through the novel. And this
Mm.
one was super interesting to me. He uses Vronsky's teeth, his white teeth, in the beginning and throughout the book to like um, kind of just show how he's like very socially like inept, not inept, kind of socially aware, and like back then it was hard. People didn't have teeth toothbrushes, and so their
Yeah.
teeth weren't as white as ours. And so it's interesting that Vronsky is having these like shiny white teeth,
Hmm.
and she does the same thing with Anna's curly hair, uh, and so yeah, so basically he's just able to get utilize very effective characterization in a short
Yeah.
span of time, which is ironic because this is not a short book.
Yeah.
And he also,
For
this is the
Tolstoy.
last thing, he uses an omniscient narrator, which is means that we can get inside of the mind of not only one character or all the characters, even the dog.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
this,
I loved that scene. That was
yeah,
so cute.
I love that too. And this is really, really important. Uh, it ties back to what I was talking about earlier, where he doesn't tell you what to think, but rather we get inside people's heads, and so that it is the challenge for us, the reader, to parse what went wrong for them to do such a thing.
Mm.
And so, sorry, that's it. That's all I had to say.
No, that was great. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, definitely share the Google Doc with us and the group chat or whatever and what as well. Okay, once again, these questions that we have will be from Oprah's book club like website. Yeah, so starting in part three, it says spend some time thinking and talking about Lieven's brothers, Nikolai and Sergei. How did they come together to form a family? In what ways do they challenge each other to make good choices and live good lives? And in what ways do they seem to hinder this process for each other? So do we remember kind of their interactions before Lievin, Constantine, I guess, gets married?
Well, there's that time when he visits in part three.
Yes, I think that's what they're referring to.
Yeah, and Nathan starts thinking a bunch about death, and he has like a panic attack. Not a panic attack, but I don't know. He's like,
Yeah.
nothing
Um,
is matter.
because doesn't he is that the part where he stays up all night and he's just sitting on that hay bale like contemplating stuff and then he sees Kitty the next morning riding in the carriage?
So yeah,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
It's
that's
been so long. I read this like
the same because I read.
last Monday. Yeah, I definitely think that it's an interesting pair, as all families are. Um, I think that they all fit together well, though, and we do see them coming together to help one another. I know this is kind of in the later parts as well, but um, with uh, Nikolai at least, like after like Lievin, sorry, I'm trying to get my thoughts together. Lievin obviously visits him a lot and is able to then tries to keep in contact with him after he kind of goes off the grid. And then he and Kitty come and visit. So like even though he kind of talks he doesn't I wouldn't say he talks badly about him behind his back, he's still like very like invested and wants truly does love him. And then Sergey, I think like the day for like Lieven's like bachelor party, quote unquote, he kind of like gives him this advice of like, hey, like she's not gonna let you do anything, she's gonna tie you down, all this stuff, like what he thinks is helpful advice. So I think in each of their own ways they try to like help one another with what they think is best. I don't know. It's just like I feel like a very normal sibling interaction.
Yeah,
um, I mean, we can talk about when Nicholas dies in part five.
Yeah.
yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec. And then it says, how do you feel about the fact that Lieven has taken on the work of a laborer, mowing right along with the musics? How does this endear him to you as a character?
He's just like me.
Hey, wait, guys, he's just like me. Yeah, no, I thought that was a really sweet scene. I, in general, just loved all of the scenes. I think, not that I don't like Kitty and him together, like I love them together, but I liked his scenes by himself. Like I think those were my favorite parts of the book. Like before, and he's
Just
just
like
kind of like, sorry.
no, you keep going. Sorry.
I was gonna say like it's just kind of like you just are essentially seeing the humanity of him, and I liked it when you were talking about that like professor and what she was saying about like the different devices, which I've already forgotten, but um, I definitely agree that my thought has left my brain. That I don't remember what I was gonna say, but it was probably really good. Yeah, so essentially I really like Lieven's chapters, and I think that we're seeing his humanity and loving him more as a character. So, yeah, anyway. Um,
Julie Cassidy, by the way.
what?
Her name is Julie Cassidy, professor of Russian at Williams College. So, just that.
Yeah, so what I was gonna say though is that similar to the first part of literary realism, like the characters feel like they walked off the streets and into the page.
Yeah.
Instead of it feeling like this unattainable, otherworldly thing, it's almost like we've become Lieven for the next few chapters, you know?
Yeah.
We
And
can relate to
it's
everything.
like that for every character, which I love.
Yeah.
It's what makes this book so
Yeah.
engaging.
It makes you feel a certain type of empathy that, which even though if you haven't experienced, obviously none of us are married, so we haven't experienced a lot of these things, but even like, you know, Lieven working in the field, like we can translate that to different areas of our life that have been difficult or hard
Yeah.
or things that we've done. I don't know. So
And
yeah,
like
I think,
but
sorry.
and like we know what it's like to have like a at least I hope most of us knows what it's like to work up a good sweat. Just
Yeah.
like just doing physical work or whatever.
Mhm. Yeah,
You know
exactly.
that feeling just the fact that Levin gets so much joy from it like
Mhm.
tells a lot about his character.
Yeah, and the fact that he is so humble. I mean, he's not even like,
It's
what's the
interesting.
word?
He's like,
What's happening?
I'm sorry, guys. I'm so tired. Like, I'm literally about to pass out. I don't know.
Okay, so that's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to Lieven. And yeah, and the narrator not telling us what to think, I think is so important when you were talking about that. Um, I think, yeah, like he doesn't say this person's actions were bad or this person's whatever. And I think something that I found very interesting was not only are we seeing each individual character and then what that person's thinking about those person's actions and what that person feels about their own actions, we also get like a handful of chapters that kind of outline just kind of like they're almost like gossip chapters where like different like social circles are like, well, this person, Corinne and Duh, he's here. Oh my gosh, blah blah blah. And they have this whole like dialogue back and forth. And so then we're seeing what everybody else is thinking about it, and then we're forming our own opinion as if we were there listening to the gossip sesh and we were talking to Daria Alexandrovna or whoever. So like, yeah, I think it's very cool.
Yeah.
Um, sorry, go ahead.
I don't have anything to say.
Okay.
Okay. What question are we on?
We're on question 4. Lieven's brother Sergei comes to visit him in the country. What do you think about their interactions? Do you get the feeling that one of them is stronger or more noble? And what specifically gives you that impression?
Sergey is a really interesting character. I know we kind of already talked about this, but the contrast of the Lievin brothers, Konstantin, Nikolai, and Sergey, is interesting because Sergey is he's like a scholar and he's an intellectual, and he kind of views himself. I think you guys can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but from my impression of him is that he kind of thinks of himself as better than like the peasant class.
Sergei?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm
Is that accurate? Do you think?
sure
Yeah.
every single
And that
person.
like I think this is sorry, it has been a while since I read part three, but their dialogue when Sergey visits is that Sergey thinks it's so weird that Levin would work with the peasants and that he would the concept of humbling yourself from your high station down to like working with the peasants in the fields is like unthinkable to him. And so I think there is a sense that Sergey thinks he's stronger or more noble because he's an intellectual.
I'm
I
pretty
think too, it's something where he's like, I heard this phrase one time from someone, and they were talking to me and another individual, and they were like, okay, let me think. Let me think of the simplest way I can explain this to you. And
Hmm.
I just was sitting there and I was like, okay, that
Bro.
was really insulting. I feel like that's like Sergey's just like mode. He's always thinking, everybody around me is so stupid. What is the simplest way? What are the smallest words I can use to describe this? You
Yeah.
know? That's like the vibes I get.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I feel like you can get the same feeling when it's the reverse, where
Yeah.
like someone who's super smart doesn't know how to relate things to like if you're an expert in astrophysics, your jargon isn't gonna mean anything to most people.
Yeah.
And like there's a sense that if you're only using like physics jargon and like these weird words that nobody's ever heard in their life, like that's almost equally as like
Yeah.
ascending, I guess.
Like my friend who's like in a coding class right now was showing me something that she had to do for a final project, and I was like, yeah, I like never want to hear those words again. That's
Yeah.
horrid, you
I
know?
And I
think
think
And then
sorry.
like the stuff that I'm learning in nursing school, they're like, is that like Harry Potter spells? Or like what is that? I'm like, well, it's actually Latin, so kind of.
it reminds me. I remember a little while ago I was listening to this interview Gene Wolfe did in like the '80s, and it was
Oh
him,
wow.
Isaac Asimov,
Yes, I know who
I've,
that is.
I've
other
seen it.
guy. I can't. Let me look up the other guy's name.
Read his name.
Um, what?
I forgot his name, but he was like a science fiction writer.
And he was
Oh,
like,
the Dune guy?
no,
No.
not Frank Herbert. Frank
Oh,
Herbert. No, but he was like they were talking. It's like he said like he was like you're like so how do you feel about writing science fiction or something? And he was like, well, I don't write science fiction.
yeah. I
His
remember.
name was Harlan Ellison, and
Okay.
he's like super pretentious, and like it felt like he was trying to talk down to you the whole time, but he's not actually smarter than you. But then Gene Wolfe is the
And
opposite,
Isaac Asimov.
and Isaac Asimov. They're like the opposite.
Which did you guys know Tolkien was a giant Isaac Asimov fan?
Really? That's
Yeah.
so funny.
I or maybe not giant, but
Yeah.
he enjoyed Isaac Asimov, which is really funny to me because he detested Dune.
Yeah. That's so funny.
And Isaac Asimov was like an atheist, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, a Christian's allowed to like someone who's not a Christian?
Wait, so Elliot, like, do you need to
Get
confess
out.
that you've been liking things that aren't Christian?
What? I've not read a single Isaac Asimov book.
No, we're kidding.
Neither have us, but
I've
Neither
actually
have I, but I have a friend who was obsessed
I
with his books, and she actually, funnily enough that you mentioned that, she was growing up in a household in which you were not allowed to consume secular things. So she like hid it from her parents, and she was like, yeah, like he's like a Christian author, and was just like lying to them. And I was like, that's not the way to go, but
that's
okay.
great. That's hilarious.
actually I bought this a couple years ago because I thought it was
Tolstoy loves, or no, Tolkien loves this guy.
Yeah,
I
he's
thought it was
good. Good.
It's
see,
a good
this
guy.
says Isaac Asimov's, but it actually wasn't written by
Hmm.
Isaac Asimov.
Well,
Half
no,
price books. That's where I'm gonna go next weekend.
Yeah. I'm gonna go when we go in the summer, and I'm gonna get a bunch of books. I do
Oh,
found
you
I
do you
want
guys
to.
go? Do you guys have it in Hawaii?
No, there's very few good bookstores in Hawaii.
You guys have that like library thing, which is chill.
Yeah, but it's kind of like it's
Hit
like
and miss.
thrifting.
it is thrifting books, which is I like that. But
Yeah, it's cheap.
You should look up goodwillbooks.com. They always have free shipping.
Yeah, that's where I bought this. $5. This is like perfect condition. This would be like
Dang,
$30 on
okay.
Amazon. It had like that library thing, but I cut it off. The only problem is like in the back, you can see the paper's ripped, but I don't care because this guy, used to be a library book, but it got discarded because this last page got ripped. And so I just like cut the page out.
Yeah, fair enough. Slay. Okay. Back to Levin and Kitty. So question 5. Levin and Kitty see each other for the first time after the debacle of his initial proposal. Tolstoy writes, there were no other eyes in the world like those. There was no other being in the world capable of concentrating for him all the light and meaning of life. What do you think of this passage and Levin's feelings towards Kitty despite all that has passed between them?
so at this point, Levin hadn't seen Kitty since his failed proposal, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the time when they see each other at the party,
Well,
right?
this is the first time
No.
he'd seen Kitty like that time in part 3. Wait, no, is this the time they see? Sorry.
This is the time he proposes.
Oh yeah, that
Wait,
was
really?
such a good part.
Was it that soon? I thought that was in part 4.
No, this is when like I think
This,
this is when
Because my page 277 is not the same as Oprah's,
yeah,
so
I remember.
yeah.
I wonder what
Because
edition Oprah had.
he
Oh,
proposed
yes.
to
Okay, wait.
her.
So page 273 in the Maud book.
Oh, perfect.
Um,
Because doesn't he propose to her
yeah, so
halfway through?
this is after Lieven's sleepless night and he sees her on the road and he realizes because he basically was like, I'm gonna be celibate, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm sitting on this bale and I'm deciding my entire life. And then he comes out of his sleepless night walking on the road and then he sees Kitty and he realizes or sorry, no, he said he was gonna marry a peasant girl, not that he was gonna be
Oh
celibate.
yeah.
Um, and then he was like, they look at each other and he's like,
I can't
beautiful
do it.
as is that life of simplicity and toil, I cannot turn to it. I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, Levin is almost. Did you guys get the sense that he almost some of his scenes he felt like a child, like he had this innocence about him?
Lievin or Tolstoy?
Levin.
Oh, yes, I agree.
That just is like completely lacking in Vronsky and Anna.
Yeah. I
And
think that's what changes it for me when thinking about how old Lievin is, because isn't Kitty like 22 and he's like 30 or something?
she was 18 at the beginning, but it's been like a few years, so now she's probably like 20, I think.
Yeah, so they're like, I think they're
Oh,
like 20 and 32, so like 10 or 12 years.
I thought that. I know we know
But
people.
it's like that wasn't that uncommon, but also seeing how Lievin is as a person, I would much rather be with him than someone who is closer to my age and a creep.
yeah.
Vronsky. So yeah, no thanks.
I
Yeah.
don't remember what his final counsel
I
was.
remember it very vividly because I was listening to it. I woke up like super
Wait,
early to listen to it because before like church. And I was sitting there in my room and I was like, I woke up at 6 in the morning to listen to Steva be an idiot. I think not.
what did he? It's like on the tip of my tongue. What was his advice again?
Essentially, Oblonsky was like, hey, so you really probably should divorce her because, yeah, like she's gonna kill herself if you don't, and she's really gonna divorce, you should divorce her. And like the whole time, he's just kind of like thinking about Anna and just like his whole process for why he does it is just kind of like, which to be fair, I think I'm just coming from a perspective of like, there's so many other options as opposed to divorce and shooting Vronsky. So yeah, but I don't know. I just don't like Oblonsky at all.
Yeah.
When you guys were like, oh, he's funny at the beginning, and I was like, I still hated him.
Fine. Well, Oblonsky's like everyone likes him, but he sucks because he's
Yeah.
really
Well, but like he's almost like he's just so likable. He
yeah.
maxed out charisma.
Yeah,
Like
he's like a very charismatic.
I would have been the one person. I'm like the reason why I think I like Levin so much is because his internal monologue is just me. He'll just be like everybody else in the room is like, "Aren't they so amazing?" And I'm like, "No, like they're actually a very mean person. I've seen this happen." Anyway, I also don't really think it matters if we talk about the wedding. Like, who cares about customs? They're
I
married. Anyway, this is not a history podcast, so if you want that, leave. Um,
Austin 3 is really good too.
discuss the way Kitty and Leoben fight. I honestly think it's pretty realistic and pretty healthy the way that they communicate in
Yeah.
some ways. I
Yeah.
mean, especially because they didn't really date. So it's kind of like watching a couple who is newly having disagreements, like at the beginning of
And
their relationship, similar because it's not like they've been dating for 2 years. They know how to like deal with the other person. They really haven't experienced any conflicts up to this point, except for her rejecting him. So,
it's kind of like just the stuff like I hate the way that you
yeah.
I hate the way that you like I don't know that mannerism.
Yeah. Discuss what Anna says make her happy and unhappy about her affair. Do you think she's being realistic or naive? Um, I don't remember what she thinks about her affair in part three. I mean, I think she's kind of just like be with Vronsky or death type situation. Sorry, I'm trying to move around. Um, and I don't know. Yeah, I honestly don't even remember. Do you guys remember?
I think Anna she just had this vision of what Vronsky was like in her mind,
Yeah.
and she just wanted to pursue that so desperately, like that she kind of ignored everything else in her life.
Yeah. I
And
mean, even, sorry, go ahead.
no, keep going.
I was just going to relate it to Sarosa as well. It gets to the point where she would give up her own child, who, yes, is Karenin's by custom and marriage, but she still gave birth to him, and she would rather leave, go gallivant around Italy with this guy and her new baby than prioritize him. And I
And
obviously we're supposed to feel moved by the scene when she visits him, but it still feels very like,
it
the
was tragic.
yeah. Like it feels like she's because essentially she's the cause of all of her own problems. I mean, I would argue that's kind of in all areas of life there's not really a lot of scenarios that are truly only external. There is some part of us that's causing the problem to happen as well.
We
Um,
make our situation much worse than it needs to be often.
exactly. Yeah, and so she complicates it. And honestly, like if she had gone to the ball and he had danced with her all these times and said, "Oh my gosh, whatever, I'm gonna follow you to Moscow," she could have stood right there and said, Vronsky, turn back around, go back to St. Petersburg, and we're not having this. I'm going to stay with my husband, whatever." But she just kind of let it fester over this year, and then all of a sudden they're together. All of a sudden they have a kid. It's like, yeah, like you said yes all these times to make this happen. And so, not that we don't feel sorry for her in the sense of like, this is a really horrible situation and it is really sad that you can't see your son, but also she brought this upon herself. So, like, you don't want to be like, told you so, but like, you
But there's a sense where like Anna feels trapped. Like
yeah,
if she stays with Karenin, she's just gonna. And it's like I don't know. It's like in the she's being very stupid and foolish,
yeah,
but you can also understand her. I don't think I would say I would sympathize with her because I don't know what that's. I don't know. Like I haven't felt what
that's
she's
empathize.
or empathize, right? But it's like there's the sense like, oh, this is someone who's miserable, and we can still be feel pitiful that they are
Yeah.
miserable.
Yeah, and I think like that's the main thing is like obviously we don't hate her or be like, well, you caused it, so I you actually don't have any compassion for me. But just realizing like she really, I mean, she can say, I feel like in every situation, people can say that they want to change or like, oh yeah, this is whatever. But unless like her actions are showing that she still truly values this relationship or what she thinks this relationship will be above everything else in her life. And so there will be like collateral damage because of that. Um, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. Vronsky is described as a man who hated disorder. If this is the case, why does he allow a disorderly situation as his affair with Anna? Think about the dichotomy set up by the author in regard to their passionate infidelity. One thing I will say, I vividly remember the chapter in which we get to see Vronsky organize his books and his debts and kind of have like an accounting like work day, if you will. And
Yeah,
I remember in that he discusses how he had all these specific rules about what he would do and what was okay with certain women and what was okay with other things and what to do about the husband, all this kind of stuff. He literally had thought out and planned. And then he proceeds to say, well, actually, it doesn't matter. I don't actually have to apply to any of these rules. And not that his rules were good in the first place, but he essentially just kind of says, it doesn't matter. I'll do whatever for Anna.
yeah,
So,
yeah. It's like there's almost this blind passion going on with them.
yeah.
That's like it almost overthrows um their values in a way.
Mhm.
It's just like this is kind of redundant to say, but they're gonna pursue their passion above anything else.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
the fact that this man that Anna hasn't known for very long, she chooses him over her own son. It's like what the heck?
I
It's
mean,
just
if
yeah,
she's to be in a marriage in which she is unhappy and really can't divorce him because she's the woman and whatever else, like she could at least find some solace in her son and her other friendships and whatever else. But yeah, like she really just chooses to throw that all away.
Cool.
Okay. Do we want to talk about the Russian business and diplomatic world? Question 10.
We could, but we don't.
Yeah, we don't really have time. So, sorry. Um, okay. So, reflect upon Karenin's predicament. He can't easily divorce his wife, yet she has moved beyond the pale of his influence. If he were to handle this situation in a morally upstanding way, what would be his best course of action?
That's interesting. What do you think he should do in this situation?
I think that I'm trying to find page 430 that she had talked about. It's definitely a hard situation. I think like given Russian society and a lot of customs of the time within like royal nobility, royalty in general, like there was just a lot of unhappy marriages and it was seen as like socially acceptable to have some type of affair in a way. Not that it was good or that that should have ever been a cultural norm, but it was. And because they wanted yeah, so like knowing that and then finding out about how Karenin and Anna got married, it wasn't even a true arranged marriage. It was like a manipulation marriage. And so that also changes this perspective completely. Like Anna was kind of just like visiting him and then the aunt like accused him of like what did he, accusing her what did
I
she
don't,
accuse him of? Like rape or something and he was like
I don't remember that. Wait,
I
what?
remember like the aunt like writing this long letter when like Anna had visited and she had like encountered Karenin or something and the aunt like accused him of doing something to her and she's like well I'm gonna tell everyone that you did this and he's like we literally didn't even say anything to each other and so then she's like we'll get married or else and so it was like
Hmm.
they weren't even really like, oh yeah, you're getting arranged to be married. It's like he's what? Like she was like 18 and he's 45 or something crazy. So it's like, yeah, that's definitely an interesting situation to navigate in its of itself. But I think I don't know, like I think if Karenin had if Anna had like so I guess in a perfect scenario, if Anna had said no to Vronsky and if she had prioritized her family relations and Karenin had gone and gotten counsel from someone who was actually helpful and asked Anna, what are specific things that you feel like are degrading for a relationship? And over the last 8 years, what has been like super troubling to you in which you feel like you can no longer be in this marriage? And if they had a candid conversation about it, and if both of them were willing to work together, which is the thing with marriage counseling, it's like if you are both wanting to be there and wanting to put in a lot of stuff into this, and you think this is worth it, like you will stay together.
The-
But
Anna doesn't want to do that.
but she doesn't want to do that anyway.
That's
So that's why I'm saying if both parties were that way. And I think Karenin doesn't even love her, or they and neither of them truly even know what love is.
I think
So yeah,
morally get a divorce because it's fine because that's sexual immorality, and
yeah.
and
Well,
then
yeah, because Karenin was going to divorce her. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and then who is it that convinced him not to again?
was it
Oblonsky. And then Oblonsky turned right back around.
Blonsky? What is wrong
Yeah.
with you?
Exactly.
You idiot!
Yep.
So dumb.
I think if anything, yeah, yeah. Sorry. So yeah. Anyway, anyone else can add to that.
No, by the way, we lost Elliot.
Yeah,
So
so Jonas,
Jonas is on the way. Well, he's still kicked out.
yeah. So Jonas is kicked out, truthfully, because he has the SAT that he's preparing for. And Elliot
Me
also.
out. They wouldn't let me in.
Okay, well, that's not true. You said he had school.
Elliot has a class he has to go to, so let's get that.
Okay.
Question 6. How do you feel about the details that surround Kitty's and Levin's successful courtship? How is it different from the earlier courtship in the novel?
Courtship meaning the first time that they tried to date?
Was it? I think it was referring to Eleven's first proposal.
Okay, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that they didn't
So
really court in the first part of the book, to be fair. He just kind of knew her for a while and then was like, "Hey, you want to go ice skating with me?" And then wanted to marry her 2 days later. So,
speaking of that, we never talked about the ice skating scene, but I love the ice skating scene. I
ew.
love how it's just like people just go out and skate. Like it's just a
Well,
thing.
yeah, it's so funny that one series that I've talked about a couple of times, The Russians, which is
Mhm.
like historical fiction, is so much like Anna Karenina, and I'm gonna go back and look at the authors and like I'm wondering if she just really loved Tolstoy and wanted to like basically make a book series kind of similar to that. But
Mhm.
it's exactly like that, where the main couple that gets married meets like they like meet on the ice and they just kind of like ice skate together. But it's like such a cultural like thing. That's so crazy to
And
me, you
and
know?
I love that it's just like Levin. It just says like Levin was the best skater for like 50 miles. It's like
Yeah.
it's like I don't know.
Like how does that happen? Like
It's just
everyone had to have been skating then, or everyone who was able to.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was a
That
really
was not
cute
related
scene.
to what we're talking about, but
Yeah, it was good though.
what do you think about Levin like writing out the proposal and the letters or
Oh
like
my gosh, I loved that so much. I was just like, the entire time of that scene, I was like, how is Tolstoy gonna do it? Because
uh-huh.
it was funny. I actually was like rewatching the Pride and Prejudice, the 1995 version. And so like, I don't know if you've seen both versions of Pride and Prejudice.
I've only seen the Keira Knightley one.
Okay, so in that one, that proposal is super cool. It does it justice. But in the 95
Remind me,
one,
sorry,
sorry.
sorry, finish it.
Yeah. So the 95 version, essentially, you already know what happens, but like spoiler alert, Darcy and Elizabeth get together. They have like all these episodes, like 4 or 5 episodes, where it's just like you feel this tension and it's like very slow burn, obviously. And then it gets to the end and they're just kind of like going on a walk and he's just kind of like, yeah, so like we should get married, but like in a British accent. And she's like, we should. And then it ends and there's nothing. And
What?
I'm like, what?
No.
And so I was like, Tolstoy, you can't let me down with Kitty and Laban because I was over here just watching the show. And then I was like, oh, it was so good. Like the way that they wrote it out and like it shows how they're like almost like telepathic in a way was so
It
sweet.
reminded me of like over text, when people use like the
Yeah,
super long, and
yeah.
you'll come across these posts where it's like you only know this if your heart's been broken, and it's just like a
Yes.
long
Yes.
line.
No, literally, because it was like texting in a way, but on a chalkboard. And
Yeah,
it was so cool too because it was like they like looked at each other like they were the only two people in the room. And it was like everybody else is like, what are they doing on the chalkboard? Like,
yeah.
look at those idiots over there writing. Like they're playing Hangman or something, and they're over there like professing their love for each other on this chalkboard.
I'm trying to remember. Do you remember the part? Oh wait, no, this might be. I think this might have been part 7 or part 6.
Okay.
There's a part later on. It's not really spoiling. I think it was when the princess was like talking to Kitty about proposals, and no, it was
It was part
Kitty
five.
was talking to Daria, right?
Yes.
And how Steven proposed to Daria, and it
Hmm.
was like I don't know, and then Kitty's just like, well, he just wrote out some letters to me.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because she's like, well, it was like romantic to me. And then the princess is just like, oh, yes, and blah, blah, blah. He just said this. And then Daria's like, dang, they like, why didn't that happen to me? You know?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It made me laugh just like to think because in the moment, Leovin's proposal is so romantic, and
Yeah.
then it's like in retrospect, it's just kind of funny to like do it
Yes.
that
I
way.
know. Yeah.
But yeah, we love Kitty and Leovin.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah,
Um,
and blends into the theme of contrasting how Leovin is having a great life
mhm.
while Anna is not. So
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think we see like that theme of every family is unhappy in its own way reflected through every character except Leoben and Kitty. So, which is kind of cool. And I guess the prince and the princess too, but like we don't really get a deep dive into their life. Okay. At the beginning of the novel, we learn that Anna has a very close bond with her son, Sorosa. Talk about what it means for her to leave him in order to be with Vronsky.
I think we've kind of talked
We
about
kind of
it.
talked about this already, I feel like, and we'll talk about it more for part 5 as
Yeah,
well.
when she goes back to see him.
Okay, so think about the interesting dreamlike passage after the race where Vronsky struggles with sleep on pages 416 through 17. His strange, mad whisper is unable to value, unable to enjoy, unable to value, unable to enjoy. What do you think this might mean in the larger context of his relationship with Anna or his life? Well, kind of a spoiler, but I already know that he kind of struggles with near the end of part 5, because we read up to part 5, how he basically looks at her and he's kind of like, I don't really know that I love her the same way anymore.
Yeah, honestly, Vronsky, I'm gonna be honest, is not a character I paid as much attention to as I should.
Okay.
Um, I don't, I don't remember this scene really. Do you
Oh,
remember?
this scene specifically or part 5?
Yeah, this scene specifically, I guess.
Yeah.
What?
So, first of all, actually, you go first because I need to like gather my thoughts.
Um, so I'll briefly recap. So Anna is pregnant with presumably Vronsky's baby.
Has
Um,
been for a while now.
yeah, and she's been having in part was it part 4 or 5 when she was having these vision or dreams of her own
Mhm.
death,
Yeah.
and
Talking
so
about Vronsky.
yep, and she's freaking out to her husband saying, "Dude, I'm gonna die."
Hmm.
And so um, was it? Did she go back to Karenin's house and then that's where they had the baby?
I believe so.
And then Vronsky came and
Like, and Anna like almost dies in childbirth due to
uh-huh.
foreshadowing, which is
And
interesting.
then Karenin has this extreme like almost like revelation of like forgiveness, and he is able to, at least the text says, he fully forgives Anna and Vronsky in that moment. I don't
Yeah.
know. Do you think he fully did?
Corinne?
I yeah, because I don't think
Mm,
he really feels it
I
doesn't
I don't think he felt,
he doesn't have the same like grudge as he does earlier.
yeah. And it's honestly like interesting how he views connection to people anyway. I
Mm,
mean, I know we can go on about childhood trauma and all of this, he grew up this way, so now he's this way, but he's still consciously making the decision to not be a loving individual to most people anyway. And so he doesn't really have like human connection, which I guess the question we kind of skipped over about like Oblonsky and Karenin's like different uh positions in society. It's like the difference is that Oblonsky is appears to be personable while actually not being. And Karenin is not personable and also doesn't really care that much about relationships in the first place. So
yeah.
yeah, I would say he didn't really for I would say he didn't to the best of like what he thinks he's doing, he's forgiven them, but I wouldn't say it was true forgiveness in a way.
I don't know. In the sorry, I just sorry. I need to collect my thoughts.
Mhm.
I thought it was a very powerful moment because didn't
Yeah.
he like broke down in tears and he was like
Yeah.
weeping next to Anna and having this like spiritual experience.
Right.
And it's just like his life changed and after that
Yeah.
it's better to
I
his son.
guess as far as like what we're defining forgiveness to be within the context of this book, yes.
Yeah.
Because obviously like Christian forgiveness is going to look different.
And then yeah, and then the most interesting thing about it for me is that he was okay or he almost like tolerated Vronsky and Vronsky seeing this like Christian forgiveness in a way
Yeah.
is like repulsed, I think, by Karenin. And it's just like, and
He's
then
like,
that's when he tries to kill himself because he said he sees Vronsky
mhm.
who's forgiven Anna and is actually gonna like presumably actually gonna like help her now. And Vronsky's like, oh my gosh, Anna might not be with me anymore. And then he tries
Yeah.
to kill himself. I
Yeah,
think.
which we kind of see like obviously the entire foundation of that has been crumbling for a while, but I feel like that's like a big chunk kind of taken out of that, like where they could have had restoration between Anna and Karenin, and now there's not going to
Yeah.
be, at least as far as I know. But I haven't gotten that far in part six, so I guess we'll see.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, Vronsky. If I read this book again, I would need to pay more attention to him and his development because
yeah,
there's
it's
there's
a
a lot to him.
yeah, he's an interesting character. I also like that. I think one of the things we've talked about relating back to Sanderson, is how sometimes a lot of his characters can reflect one another a little bit too much. And I think that Tolstoy does a great job with making his characters so distinct to the point where, well, I guess that's not 100% true. Like, I think sometimes, yes, there is a lot of names, and so you can get names confused, but like, as far as the person's actions and like when you are like thinking about them, like, you can very distinctly tell them apart from other characters. I don't know. I feel like sometimes a lot of they can like mold together for me, but in this book,
Yeah,
it feels like
that
each person has their own individual, like very distinct political positions, moral decisions, all the rest. Yeah.
yeah, and it that goes back to the what the professor Cassiday was saying just
Yeah.
about how efficient he is as a character writer and
Yeah.
giving each character their like one distinct trait
Hmm.
that they'll stick in your brain so that when they come up again 400 pages later, you're gonna be like,
Yep.
oh, that's that guy. It's
Yeah, like in a normal, and like other novels, I feel like I would have forgotten the prince and the princess and been like, wait, what did they do again? And then in this one, it's like you very distinctly remember them as like being a healthy couple
or
and their children.
even like Vronsky's friend, like I forgot his name, Yashkin, I think is his name.
Yes, yeah,
It's
the
just like
military guy.
uh-huh. Yeah. And this, when I was listening to the professor say that, it reminded me a lot of Stephen King because that's what Stephen King does. He's an incredible character writer because he's able to, when he's writing about a large ensemble and whether it be like Needful Things or The Dark Tower or whatever, he'll have these incredibly distinct characters that
Yeah.
will, yeah, and it's almost the exact same thing. I'm not saying he's as good a writer as Tolstoy,
Oh, really?
but I'm saying this. I don't know. It reminded me of
Modern day
that's
Tolstoy.
that's almost exactly how like I would describe his character writing. So that's
Yeah,
but so cool. We like.
you just reminded me that I needed to place hold on the Dark Tower. That's what I'm doing. It's a good
I
one.
guess that makes sense with Count of Monte Cristo because it's historical, or it's like it's an old book and it's about like historical France or
Mhm.
something like that. So
So you're gonna read that book?
yeah, I think so. But it's like 1,200 pages.
You
So
got it. Wind and Truth was longer than that.
Wind and Truth, Wind and Truth is just like it's like junk food.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like Doritos versus like steak and like
Uh,
potatoes and Thanksgiving like type foods.
obligatory Wind and
Wind
Truth
and Truth Slender made it into Anna Karenina. Yeah.
twice so far. I think
Yeah, I
we.
talked about it last week, so.
All right. What's our next question?
Um, so what do we think of Anna and Vronsky now as a couple?
Not good.
Yeah, I hate them. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I kind of do though. I think honestly, I'm tending to put more blame on. It's kind of like an Adam and Eve situation, if you will. Both of them committed like the sin, and like both of them are at fault. But I think that, and I'm not saying that Anna was like. So I guess it's not exactly a good illustration, but like similarly, like Vronsky should have been, I don't know, like should have been the one to say, "Hey, we actually shouldn't do this. Like we need to stay friends or whatever else." Like, and he was the one that basically really, really, really pressured her. And yes, she did still say yes. So I'm not saying there's no fault on her, but like he was the one that was pressuring this and
Yeah,
like, you know,
but it's almost like yeah, it's like um. Have you read The Great Gatsby?
I haven't. Yeah, it's on my TBR. Jonas has.
Okay. It's just in the Great Gatsby, there's an unreliable narrator, and
Okay.
he's almost just like a passive voice in the story,
Yeah.
and all this like debauchery and like like crazy stuff happening,
Yeah.
and it's like not the narrator's fault, but like he didn't stop it, so
Yeah.
it's like neutrality is still
Hmm.
like there's almost no neutrality, and like
Yeah.
what's the word we talked about in what is it? Sorry,
Oh, you're fine.
I
I think, yeah, I agree with you. Like, she is very passive in how she goes about it. And so I think that's why she still feels like, oh, I have this responsibility to, when I'm at my house to pretend like the affair isn't happening or to like still visit my son and all these things. Whereas Vronsky's like, she's still visiting her son over me. Like, are you kidding me? She said she was going to just be with me. And
yeah
he is like very like he's making active decisions to continue the relationship and like has basically thrown everything out the window. And then
mm,
she's like, "Oh, I still want to kind of have these things as like backup, you know?"
yeah. It's like almost there's a certain level of trust that's not there. Do you remember when Anna sees her son and it's like afterwards she's extremely distraught, and then
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, how dare Vronsky not be here for me in my
Yeah.
sorrow?
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, wait, I never told him about
She's like,
this.
wait a second, I kept a secret from him, and yeah, now we have this person over at our house for dinner randomly. It's like, what's
Uh-huh.
going on? That's the other thing. Really random side note, but the amount of people that they are constantly entertaining and having out over for dinner, I'm like, do they not get a moment to be in their house by themselves?
I know.
Like, I love get at the end of the day going back to my room and being like, okay, this is like obviously like I live with my family, but like being able to have time in my house where I'm not like having to entertain people, like that would be exhausting. And then on top of that, you have everyone, all the servants, everybody else running around at all times listening to what you could possibly be saying. Like,
Yeah. It's so I love reading about this society. Like
yeah.
it's just so interesting to think like
Hmm.
this was like because often we read our fantasy books
Yeah.
and we read about Kaladin Stormblessed
Yeah.
killing a bunch of parchmen with a spear, and
Yeah.
we're like, that's awesome, we love that. But like, and then we read his. I almost call this historical fiction. It's not historical fiction, but fiction from another time, and we read it like historical fiction. But the
Yeah.
thing is, this is like real situations that happened in real life,
Oh
and this
yeah.
is a society that real people lived in. And it's so bizarre to think
Yeah.
that like we could have been born in 1750 in Russia and lived this
Yeah.
life.
Like it could have been, yeah, I mean, some would say chance, some would say providence, but I'm glad I'm born in this time period, I will say.
Yeah. I'm also sometimes not glad that I was born in this time period
Yeah.
with
That's
the
like
crap that goes on.
that's presently I feel this way, but that could change.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously we feel like Anna has not flourished and she hasn't because she won't find fulfillment in a relationship.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
question three. In part five, Vronsky and Lievin are described as being not as happy as they expected to be. From what you know of them, do you think their expectations were realistic?
this is an interesting question.
I agree.
And they're neither of them are happy as they wanted to be.
Hmm.
And yet it's almost like in different ways. Well, obviously in different ways, but like sorry, you can stop me if
Oh,
I'm too long.
sorry, I'm not
But
looking at you because I disagree with you. I just was leaning back.
no, you're good. But it's like Levin is unhappy, or he's. I won't say he's unhappy, but he's not like. What did the question say? Yeah, he's not happy. He's not the life he's living is not as he expected
Mhm.
because he didn't know what to expect, or he didn't have the right expectations for marriage, and he's learning what it is to be married and like the responsibilities and the sacrifices you have to make, and like and in the way it's beautiful to read that like him grow into that role. And
Mhm.
with Vronsky, he's just like spiraling down, and
Yeah.
like he expected to be happy with Anna. He expected them to like have this passionate like life, and that's just not
He
reality.
expected the honeymoon phase to last forever, which is not possible in many ways, but like we were actually talking about this today, but like it gets to a point where you're having, I know this isn't a correct scientific term, so nobody come for me, please, but like having a dopamine hit, so to speak, from seeing that person that you're really interested in. And so like it gets to a point where like you're seeing this person all the time and you're getting text messages from them or whatever else. I guess in this day and age you were just seeing them or getting letters from them. Um and also like the idea of this being like secretive and like, oh, this is like forbidden, like was like had this maybe more enticing factor for it for Vronsky as well. And then it gets to a point where after a couple months, you're like, your brain is so used to that that it just kind of like plateaus and you're like, okay, well, this is like my new normal. So then
Yeah.
now this isn't like something that's like crazy or like this is so like new and exciting. Now it's just kind of like, yeah, I guess she is what she is. And I mean, even like it gets to a point where he's like, yeah, I mean, I guess like she looks okay, but like I don't really know. Like she just isn't really like attractive to me anymore.
Yeah.
And he like literally says that I think in like the movie or not the movie theater, the well, it's like the I guess just the theater.
Yeah.
And so you just kind of see his perspective completely change. Whereas, Lievin, I think, was probably expecting similar things of like, we're never gonna fight, we're never gonna like, disagree, like, Kitty is my world. And
Yeah.
then he realizes, well, yeah, like, I should prioritize her, yes, but also, like, we are gonna have disagreements, and this is how we deal with them. And also, I'm still gonna go do fun things and she's gonna go do fun things. It's like you can have lives outside of one another too.
Oh, for sure.
So he definitely goes about it in a healthy way as opposed to Bronsky.
I also love. Do you remember? I'm sorry. I hope this isn't a spoiler if it wasn't even in their section. But when Leofen kept describing himself, or he kept saying, "Kitty and I are now one. We're like one
Yes.
person now."
Yeah.
And I just love that way.
Which like nobody in the book believes that about their spouse except for Kitty and Leah.
Yeah, yeah. And I love. You mentioned this, and it's a very, I
Yeah.
think, intentional thing that Tolstoy is doing is that Vronsky and Anna and Kitty and Leoven are having their honeymoon phase at the same time,
Hmm.
so we can see how that contrasts.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's just one one is more fulfilling than the other, I
Yeah.
guess. So,
Yeah. It's very interesting seeing that compared. I agree. Oh, yeah. So can we talk about this? Because I was confused. How do
oh
you
yeah,
feel about a custom that would prohibit Kitty from visiting Nikolai Lievin because of his relationship with Maria? What is your impression of Maria as a fallen woman? Okay, so to be clear, there's a lot of times when they'll like use different wording, and I'm not quite sure if they're meaning what they're meaning. But for Maria to be Maria Mikhailovna, I think is her name. For Maria to be Nikolai's mistress was not only his house mistress and nurse, but also like they were having an affair too.
I would think so.
Okay.
Because then, yeah, they were like,
And
yeah,
so, but then he kicked her out because she made his tea too weak. I thought that was funny.
Nik- Nikolai is such a pitiful character,
I
and
know.
I
Literally,
don't know.
I was like, wait a second, we're gonna back up 15 seconds. You did what?
Um,
Um, and then she went back to him because she was scared because he was kind of like running off and didn't want medications or whatever. And yeah. But so I guess I'm understanding now, Kitty, because of the custom, married women couldn't see a peasant mistress or something.
I guess because they were having an affair, it was like not okay for them to be together. I'm not. Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have looked that up, but I did not.
No, you're good. Trying to Maria. I'm trying to spell her name right. Maria Mikhailova.
And Anna gets the same. She's also a fallen woman, quote unquote.
Right. Yes, she's called a fallen woman. Oh, I should say Anna Karenina because Google doesn't know what that is.
Is my friend Anna of
Dude, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT because Google doesn't get it. Oh wait, why is it saying that? Okay. Kitty, would her last name be Levin now? Kitty? I guess I'll just put it in like that. Hopefully ChatGPT knows. Kitty Sherbatskaya. Because of social norms and expectations of aristocratic Russian society. Maria Nikolaevna is a peasant woman who has been living with Konstantin Levin. Oh, I'm so stupid. Sorry. Um, so Simon,
What?
Ma Maria was Constantine's mistress, not
Wait,
Nicholas.
I thought she was Agafia Agatha. I thought Agatha was the
Agafia Mikhailovna, she's somebody different. She works for him now.
I thought but wait, I thought she worked for him the whole book. Wait, what?
So did I. So maybe
I'm so
ChatGPT's wrong.
confused now. Who
Okay,
is
let's look this up.
who is Maria? Wait, but Nikolai's mistress was 100% named Mary.
Yeah, Nikolai's mistress was 100% Maria,
So
and um and so I think ChatGPT is confused.
all right, well, if anyone is ever watching this video and
Yeah.
knows the answer to what
Please help us.
yeah, 6 and 7 is what I meant, not 8 and 9.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So this is honestly, I think this is my favorite part of the book. Not because I'm morbid, but because I think it's
Wait, okay, explain why.
because it's extremely thematically relevant. Or like it. Okay, so let me just read the questions.
Good.
So, who do you feel handles Nikolai's final death or final days well, and who, if anyone, does not? And then also, um, chapter 20 is the only chapter with a title.
Yes.
Why do you think Tolstoy titled this? In what subtle ways is this section different from the other book? And make sure to talk about the end of the chapter. The reason well, I just thought this was the most powerful part of the book, at least for me. It probably had the most effect on me.
Even having finished the book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um. And I just so it kind of like this is when Lieven's internal struggles were coming to a head.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
throughout the whole book. Well, I guess not the whole book, but in part three, it kind of laid the seeds of Lievin to have this morbid fascination with death, much
Mhm.
like Tolstoy himself, who is in many ways, Lievin in many ways is a stand-in character for Tolstoy. Um, and Lievin was afraid of death, and it just like filled him with an intense nihilism and dread.
Yeah.
And so now he gets to see it firsthand, and
Mhm.
so it has a very deep effect on him.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to flip to the chapters in
Oh yeah,
question.
I can go find mine as well.
Page.
Yeah, the one thing I am gonna reread this book probably in a year. Um, because now that I am an adult, I've matured and realized that you don't need to reread a book the week after you read it, like I used to do when I was younger. So I want to do that because I annotated the first two or three parts of it with like kind of like my thoughts and like underlined parts that I liked. And I really wish I'd been able to do that, but obviously I didn't have the time. So next summer though, I will definitely annotate this. I need to put it on my like list to do that, but yeah.
Yeah. I just thought chapter 20 was so raw,
Hmm.
like in a way the rest of the book hasn't been. And it's
Yeah.
just like he's just waiting for his brother to die in a way. And it's almost horrible to like, it's excruciatingly slow in a way. Because like Nikolai comes to the brink of death, like, well, for the whole chapter, for the whole section, I guess. And it's
Yeah.
just like Lievin. I think there's a part where he's like sitting by his brother, waiting for him to die, and he won't die. And it's just like this is like I don't know. It's just yeah. I don't know. It's just very impactful.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, I agree. We have seen like Lievin on an insane journey thus far. And so, sorry, I'm also trying to find the chapter. And so now like seeing him once again, we've seen so many I can't find it, so never mind. But yeah, we're seeing him as a character evolve and just once again back to that point from the professor of the uh direct imprint of lived reality. Like you can relate to this individual with their intense suffering that they're going through in a very real way that doesn't seem like outside of your personal
Yeah.
experience.
Um, and how beautiful is it that almost like the bond Nikolai and Kitty form at the end? It's just like, and I don't think it was Nikolai being a creep. I think it's just like,
That if people say that, that's
no,
ridiculous.
no, I haven't seen any.
Okay.
It's just because Nikolai was like kind of that person.
Yeah, he was.
So it's like there's that possibility. But like it's almost like she was mothering him in a way.
Yeah.
It's like
Even
feeling the love of a mother again, and that comforted him.
I think, yeah, I think something that's unique about Kitty's personality, and it shows immediately after, Kitty and Leoben are married, it shows how much, sorry, how well Kitty and Leoben balance each other because in a time of crisis, she is like perfect and she swoops in and she's like calm as can be and just has this air of just like compassion and like love. And Leoben is like freaking out, and just like not even knowing what to do. Feels so awkward even with his own family member and doesn't know what to talk about or do. And she just like sits down and grabs his hand, which like I will say like for her to like touch his hand and like show affection just even in that way would have been so powerful to someone who is being like treated like nobody can be around you because you're sick and you are like dying and whatnot and we don't want to like catch whatever you have. And so to see her like just reach out to him is like really sweet as well.
Hmm. Can I just read the last
Oh yeah. Can you tell me what page in the mound trend?
page 501?
Okay.
Is where I'm gonna, yeah, just the last big paragraph and then the like.
Okay, it's gonna take me one more minute.
So I think this is the most.
The sight of his brother?
Yeah, this
Okay.
is maybe the most. Well, not the most important, but I just think it's beautiful and it's some like it's characterizes life and story really well. So. Right. The sight of his brother and the proximity of death renewed in Levin's soul that feeling of horror at the inscrutability, nearness, and inevitability of death which had seized him on that autumn evening when his brother had arrived in the country. That feeling was now stronger even than before. He felt even less able than before to understand the meaning of death, and its inevitability appeared yet more terrible to him. But now, thanks to his wife's presence, that feeling did not drive him to despair. In spite of death, he felt the necessity of living and of loving. He felt that love had saved him from despair, and that love, under the menace of despair, grew still stronger and purer. Scarcely had the unexplained mystery of death been enacted before his eyes when another mystery, just as inexplicable, presented itself, calling to love and life. The doctor confirmed their supposition about Kitty. Her illness was pregnancy. So it's like the most remarkable and miraculous and unexplainable things in life are death and life. And it's just like, I think it's so beautiful that this chapter titled Death ends with
Yeah.
life. Lydia.
More impression of Countess Lydia Ivanovna and Karenin. Okay, can I go first?
Yes.
Okay, so about my previous radar that we talked about with me being like relating to Leoben, it's not even in a judgmental way, but like there is like first impressions that you do have of people, right?
Yeah.
And it works for me with people in person as well as people in books. So when I get the first impression of someone, I'm like immediately like, okay, this I think that they're gonna do this. When literally at the beginning of the book, when they were talking about Lydia Ivanovna, mouthful, and Karenin, and oh, they're his friends, they're friends. I was like immediately like, she's gonna be a vulture that's gonna snatch him up, and I was right. So.
Yep. Do you feel justified?
I do.
Vindicated, maybe?
Yep. And it's funny because I think it shows too how much this whole like thing with like all the different relationships, whether they be adulterous or whatever, can kind of creep up on you. Like
Yeah.
Karenina is honestly the person in the book who I would say is most against adultery outside of Liaven and Kitty, and yet he's the one who I wouldn't say it's more probably more of an emotional affair than anything
Yeah,
with
for
her
sure.
because he connects more with her than he does his own wife. So actually, I think that he was guilty in some way before Anna.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. It also raises the question, like, obviously Anna and Karenin never should have gotten married. So it's like,
Well, yeah, and like going back to like the reason why they got
yeah,
married,
and
there's
even,
there's pretty much no reason.
mhm. And I just think I was very mad at Lydia because it felt
And
like
she's still
Karenin
married
was,
too.
hmm? What's
She's
that?
still married too.
Yeah, and it felt like Karenin was like actually turning a corner, at least to some degree.
Yeah.
And then she just kind of like stunted that, and then she like forced this weird version of Christianity on him. That
I know. She's like, meanwhile, while she's trying to literally be like the Proverbs woman that, like they have the comparison of like the woman who's calling out in the street. I'm like, okay, girl, like you're over here proclaiming the word to him and you're being the Proverbs woman who's
yeah,
calling out in the street. Um, yeah, so crazy parallel there. I also think she has no right, and also I think Karenin is unaware in some things and aware in some things. I think one of the things he's unaware of is how conniving Lydia is. I think he realizes that there's something there, but he doesn't realize how conniving she is. And so that whole thing with the letter that she sends to Anna about Serosa, I'm like, that is completely outside of your boundaries,
I was
girl.
so mad. I was so
Me
frustrated
too.
with that part.
I was listening to this while I was
My,
driving, like slamming my dashboard. I'm like, what is going on?
one of the few moments you were rooting for Anna, like
Yeah.
just let her see her kid.
Please
Like,
let me see your kid. Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
And even that's ruined. So, I don't know. Yeah,
not
crazy. Like, so I
like
think, yeah, we see how Karenin is falling for her in a way because I think the quote was literally like, he appreciated her, like, bodice that she was wearing or whatever. It's like, okay, very specific, you
yeah.
know? Well, yeah, he's over here basically doing the same thing, which I guess I don't know how, yeah, I don't know how that relationship's gonna play out because I haven't read part 6, 7, and 8 yet, but
Interesting.
I'll get there. I
Brandon's
guess I've read like half of part 6, but
Brandon's one of the most interesting characters, I think, because he's not a main character. He's kind of on the side for most of the book, but
yeah.
so much going on with him, and like,
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, as the book goes on, we hear about Anna less and we hear about Karenin and Oblonsky more. Actually, we probably heard this like the same amount of Oblonsky throughout the book.
yeah, Oblonsky's. I don't think we ever see. I think the most we see of him is in the beginning when
Yeah,
we're in his perspective.
for
Uh,
sure. So, oh,
Serenna, Serosa.
oh, I know, it's Rosa. I felt so bad. I think honestly for me, um, his chapter that he had was really powerful just because you see like through a child's perspective, like what he's viewing of everything going on. And even like it just was so depressing how he is like, well, I still like believe that mom's alive, and every time I go on a walk, like it's like he's telling you as like a
yeah.
5 year, like when I go on my daily walks, I look for mom, and you're
Well, he
like,
was what? How old? What? Actually, I'm gonna look that up. How old is he?
I
I
thought he
thought
was
he was
5 or 6.
yeah.
So like he's like grade school, which yeah, like that age, they're very, you know,
He's 8.
I'm not saying, oh, he's 8.
Yeah. Which
Okay,
I
he's
mean,
older
yeah,
than that.
but it's still not like
Still not,
still like
yeah,
a
a
child.
teenager. Yeah, so anyway, the point is like I don't even think at that age you fully understand all the implications of death either. And so he's just kind of like, I wouldn't say he's
He doesn't
happy
have,
go lucky about it, but he's also not like depressed when he's talking about it, which is interesting.
and it's like when you're young, the concept of death isn't really within your like bounds of understanding. So
Yeah,
like, why? How would? Of course, my mom's not dead. No one's dead. No one
yeah.
I like death.
Like, what even is death? Yeah. Like I
he doesn't even know what that means. Like
like those like reasoning, like critical thinking skills are more like teenage years.
I feel
So,
like this kid's gonna be so traumatized when he's older.
oh yeah, I mean,
Bro.
dude, it's like Gavinor. No, not the same, but
Oh, wait, killing you. Who would he? Oh, spoilers for Wind and Truth, by the
yeah,
way.
spoilers for Wind and Truth. Um, yeah, it's interesting. I wonder, like, I know, like, they do like fan fictions and stuff for books too. That we have a Sorosa like story of like what happens later to him and how he deals with relationships.
Yeah.
A Tolstoy imitator, please. Um, yeah. So, and then it says, as a product of Anna and Karenin, how does he seem similar to each?
Where's this? Oh no, I just saw it. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
In what ways is he similar? What do you think?
I would say that he seems to be pretty reasonable and like logical. And so he's kind of like, well, mom's left me before, so she still could come back. And I think that they're lying to me because the people have kept secrets from me before. So 1 + 1 = 2 type thing. So I think that's probably like a lot of those logical reasoning skills are probably a product of Karenin. Obviously he has like intense emotion and compassion, like I think Anna does. But yeah, it's hard because we will really only get that one chapter and then a little bit at the beginning to kind of figure out who he is as a person. So yeah, I'm not quite sure outside of that.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. Yeah, I don't remember. I wasn't like analyzing his character, but like I just thought this tragic that I mean, he was just like yeah,
right.
it's just tragic.
Also, um, why don't they have any questions about the theater?
I don't know. Wait, what theater?
Like at the very end of part 5?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, well, we can answer this question. Um, oh, yeah, do you remember her attitude towards the baby?
Yeah, she doesn't like it. She doesn't like
Yeah.
the baby.
She literally, and what's crazy is you see this like parallel from the first part when she goes home right after visiting Daria Alexandrovna. I just say it her full name every time because it's so cool. Anna Blonsky. And every like you see how she goes there, she visits them, she comes back, and it's like she sees everything in grayscale, and she's like, everything wasn't as like I remembered it. Like my son isn't as cute as I remember. My husband is a jerk and I hate everything. And it feels like she kind of just has this like recurrent theme with this baby as well. And she's like, well, actually, that was better than what I was thinking. And like meaning like her son is now better than what she was thinking. But she's like, my daughter, I don't really like her. And it's like,
And it's interesting that
what?
she loves Karenin's son, but doesn't love Vronsky's son.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
daughter. Yeah.
sorry, daughter. Right.
Yeah. It's very weird. And like what I thought was a very I don't know if Tolstoy did this on purpose, but I thought it was kind of like I don't know, like if potent's the right word. Wow. If potent's the right word, but like when he is describing their time in Italy and France or wherever they went, um, he doesn't really say that the baby is there till kind of like halfway through their time there.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I kept being like, I kept rewriting, being like, am I missing something? Like, what's going on? And then later on, it's like, oh yeah, and the baby was there. And Anna was there with the baby. But it was like he kind of just has that as a side note, which I think is intentional to show that she doesn't care, you
Yeah,
know?
she's not thinking about the baby.
Yeah. She's just thinking about herself. Um, but yeah.
And like doesn't she have someone to take care of the baby for her?
Yes, yeah. Which is interesting parallel between her and Daria Alexandrovna. Like they, I think later on when we have that carriage scene. Wait, is that in part 6?
What
We
was
have
the what was the carriage scene?
when Daria has the 4-hour carriage ride to visit Anna,
Uh,
and she essentially gets like the first time to be like by herself without any of her kids, and she's like, wait, like this is actually kind of nice.
yeah.
He thought that,
I'm pretty sure that was the beginning of part 6.
okay, that's beginning of part 6. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting, like seeing how she loves being with her children.
Hmm.
And obviously like moms need breaks every now and then. But yeah, like seeing the parallel between that and
And like
her,
Dolly like is getting fulfillment from being a mother,
yeah.
and Anna is is like she's desiring to be a mother, but like
Yeah.
she's not. It's like twisted
She's like,
almost.
wait, I can't keep like doing whatever I want. Yeah, no.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say about
I was
six?
gonna say quickly about part five, if I can find it. Do you remember the ending of part five?
Um, that's when she went to the theater, right?
Yes. It's gonna take me a second. Um, yeah, so basically Vronsky and Anna have this really big argument. It's like 5:38. When Yashvin, so Anna, they like return to Russia, Anna and Vronsky do. And obviously she visits her son. Um, and then she comes back. Also Vasily Lukich is such a cool name too. Um, so then that once they come back, and then she doesn't tell Vronsky that she's visiting her son. And then she comes back, she's kind of like, frazzled, obviously, because she just saw her presumed ex-husband that she wasn't planning to and had a very emotional reuniting with her son. And uh then is it Yashvin that comes with Vronsky back to the house and they're all supposed to like eat dinner together or something? Yeah, so they're supposed to do that, and then basically Anna kind of like not necessarily in rebellion, but she's like, well, Vronsky doesn't want me to be in the social circles because he thinks it's going to be embarrassing. Well, I'm going to prove him wrong, and I'm going to go to this theater with Betsy and all these other people. And she ends up going there and is like utterly humiliated because people are like, you can't talk to me, don't talk to my husband, don't even look at anyone because you're a fallen woman. And we kind of see like her perception of like the world crumbling in a way. Um, how much of Gilmore Girls have you watched?
I've seen the first season, the whole.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's kind of a spoiler, so I won't share that. I was gonna give an illustration about Rory, but essentially, like, you can see this kind of perception of someone as like, I guess goody two shoes is kind of like an old saying, but someone who is held in high esteem. Oh, who should we call for this situation? We should call Anna. Or who should we call for this situation? Oh my gosh, we should call Anna.
Mhm.
Like she's like constantly, I don't know, like offering advice to people. Like Kitty is asking for her advice about her suitors. She goes there to kind of save Dariana Blonsky's marriage. Like all these things. And then it gets to the point where she's like, everybody's like, wow, she's really fallen from grace. And she's realizing that everyone else's perception of her has completely changed and they actually don't like her at all. And she kind of has this like crisis. And then she and Bronsky have this like big fight. Um, but yeah, so and then it ends pretty sadly because Bronsky realizes that he doesn't really want to fight for the relationship and he I guess in just the perspective of Anna, just incredibly depressing for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, like basically they because like they have this moment in the theater at the very end where she was like sitting with her friends end up hating her. He was sitting in a box with like his family, and then they like see each other, and instead of going to her aid and being like, "Wow, I'm so sorry that you experienced this humiliation," he just kind of looks at her, turns around and goes and sits wherever he wants to, and she sits where she wants to. So you kind of see their relationship beginning to fall apart, and then she begins to just blame everything on him.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's all coming to a narrow finish.
Yep, pretty much.
Anna and Vronsky. How will it end?
Oh gosh.
It's pretty painful.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I think even knowing the ending, it's still gonna be a lot for me to read.
Yeah,
Um,
they're just so foolish.
who's foolish?
Them, Anna and Vronsky,
Oh, yeah.
especially Anna. Until yeah, I can't talk about it.
Okay. Okay, that's it for this episode. Thank you for joining us Beyond the Cosmere today for our palette cleanser series. Next week we'll be finishing Anna Karenina, reading parts 6 through 8. We hope that you will join us for that discussion. And yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments. You want to take the rest?
You can find the schedule in the description down below, as well as our Instagram at concerningcremlings_. Our email address is thecremlings@gmail.com. We have a Goodreads account as well. Our handle is at concerningcremlings. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts / oh, you just said that.
And then yeah. Until next time, life before death, strength before weakness.
Journey before destination, unless you're reading Wind and Truth, of course.
Of course, every time. Let's hear it. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Okay, we're ready.
My name is Tolstoy, and I'm sitting in a chair. On my head is a big hair. I have a nose and 2 ears. I am not allowed to drink beers. I am sitting on the chair. Hair. And ears. Ears. This is a book. I am holding it. It is a book, and I am holding it. With my mouth, I talk with my tongue, and breathe with my lungs. Mama says that I'm really cool because every day I go to school. It's a hard work, and I study real hard. I eat lard.